welcome to our video game voiceover panel. We are here, and we have previously been here, and we'll continue to be here. So thank you for coming. My name is Matthew Mercer. I'm a voice actor from Los Angeles, California. I've worked on all sorts of video games and cartoons, and everything in between. And this over here, on the Twitter currently, is...
I'm trying to tweet right now.
Sorry. This is Taliesin Jaffe. He's also a voice actor from Los Angeles, California.
I'm trying to tweet out this other thing. Hi, I'm also a voice actor from Los Angeles, California.
Thank you.
Are we doing credits, or are we just like...
Sure, let's do credits.
Okay, let's do some credits. You can hear my voice in things such as World of Warcraft, the most recent World of Warcraft expansion. I'm the male demon hunter, male elf, dark elf demon hunter. Also, Darian Mograine of the Blade, who's that's a whole thing going on, and Admiral Ripsnarl. You can hear me in Street Fighter 4 as Blanca and Adon. A bunch of other, Fallout 4 as the your automaton buddy in the Fallout 4, and a bunch of other stuff that I'm blanking on because I'm far from home and jet lagged. But many other things that I could probably look up once I finish this tweet. Tons of things. Go ahead. Yeah.
Obviously, things you can hear me in Levine Attack on Titan, Kiritsu Gremia in Fate Zero, McCree in Overwatch.
I know, it's hard when you're like suddenly up here and you're like, I know I work.
I know, there's so many things I
I do a lot of Lego games, that's the thing. A lot of JRPGs.
Yeah.
Tons of JRPGs.
Yeah, Tales of Exilia, Alvin.
A lot of fighting games.
Google and Wikipedia are your friend. And our friend, because we have to remember to be
That's the only way we ever remember is we look it up like, oh yeah, I did work on that. It's weird.
But yeah, so welcome to our voiceover panel for video games. So the discussion here is going to primarily revolve around the process of voicing for video games. Any questions you have in that regard, but do not feel limited to just that. We can just make it into a general Q&A about anything and any questions that are currently burning in the back of your mind. So, that being the case, if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand and I'll call on you.
I have a question for the room. What is the name of this room right now that we're in?
Salon A.
Salon A, thank you. All right, carry on.
All right. Question. Hi.
Yesterday at your panel you were talking about there's a million different ways to die in a video game. And it really works on your throat. And I do an all-state singing festival where we sing 9 to 5 for 2 days. So do you guys have any ways where you keep your throat, tea or with honey or something like that, anything like that to kind of preserve your voice?
Whole juice.
Yeah, for vocal preservation, for prolonged periods of vocal use or just intense vocal stress and strain, tea and honey, like you said, is helpful. Throat coat is very, very useful.
Singer's spray on occasion. Make sure you do not use an alcohol-based throat spray because you're going to have a bad time.
Yes. The Hulk juice you're talking about.
Hulk juice.
It's called a Ninjiom Pepapahua. It's a Chinese liquid syrup. It's like a medical syrup. It
comes in a pink box.
You find it on Amazon, but it's just very thick, very sugary, so you don't want to just chug it. Or get a spoonful of it.
You can chug it.
And you can, technically.
I do.
Yeah.
I feel great.
We're not helping.
Coming down.
A little bit of that, coat the throat, that does help both as a precaution and as an after-the-fact kind of rest mechanism.
A little bit as you go. I'll sometimes put some as a sweetener in the tea, with the honey, or if I don't have honey, I'll use it as a sweetener. It's really nice. And if you do a little searching around, I'm sure if you have some, thank you so much. Bless you. Magic. Thank you. Everything I'm not supposed to have. Thank you. All things you shouldn't have if you're going into a record.
There's also, as a singer especially, you learn how to properly use your voice so as not to strain it. When your voice begins to go, let me tell you, whispering doesn't help. Whispering is actually worse for your voice and preserving it than just talking. Most people don't think that's the case, but it takes more air and it's more blunt trauma to the vocal cords to make an audible whisper than anything else. So your best bet is just not to talk at all. Get a notepad.
I don't talk for a day or two. I try and sleep well. I try and eat well, and I maybe have sometimes I'll have like a depending on what I need in the morning. If I need to go deeper, I'll have like just a tiny drip of whiskey just before bed, sort of.
Because you know that if anybody's had a little drink in their life, you wake up and hey, hi, how are you? That's just great.
But if you have to be up here, that's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
And like not like a cup of it, you have to have a thimble full. But yeah, there are little things just to prepare, and then knowing just how long, like having that baseline of okay, I can do this voice for 3 hours before it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
And then stopping no matter what. And good directors will definitely like help you design which voices you're going to do in which order to move the characters through your throat and through your chest and through your head in a way where you'll just sort of leave damage behind you and never hit it again until the next end of the day. God, it sounds so awful when I say it like that.
But it's not untrue.
No. My first big screamer, I did not take care of myself. The director, bless him, did not know what we were getting in for. And I had an alcohol spray that I used, and which is great because you feel nothing because it numbs your throat. So you feel nothing. So you can keep going for hours doing things you shouldn't physically be able to do. And the next morning I was like, oh, there's like, I'm like in a road company of like Moulin Rouge. I just had like coughed a spray of blood across my pillow. Could not speak for weeks. Yeah. Oh.
So don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Yeah, that was fun. That was a terrible voice. I'm never doing it again.
Next question. User, yes.
Right. So you guys are obviously, are well known for your, important and well-remembered characters and their voices that we all recognize, such as, the said Demon Hunter, male, Citizen 2, Citizen 5, Peon number 7. But the question is...
Classics, everyone.
Oh, every single one.
Have you ever actually tried to take a character to a direction that you literally has been entirely scrapped and had to redo different because the director felt otherwise?
Well, I don't know. I've gotten like 10 deep and gone and had a reset. Like that's the nice thing is normally you just haven't gotten that far and had everything fall apart.
Yeah, it'll change mid-session. Like you'll get partway through and like because when you come in, your audition that you read for something is your interpretation of the sides they put out, and they like something about your audition to bring you back for a callback, or they'll just cast you. Then once they have you there for the actual session, they'll give you the idea of what they're trying to steer you towards. They'll be like, either, we love what you did, just keep doing that, or, we like what you did, make it a little deeper, can you give it a little more front aggression, and then you'll start reading that, and they'll be like, all right, that's great, we'll do that. Then maybe 30 lines in, they might have a change of heart, and be like, you know what, maybe I'd like to hear him a little softer.
Let's soften them up, see what happens. If not, we'll just pop back for the last 10. If not, we'll start over from the top once we hit the end, is usually the round of that. And a lot of directors, no matter what, will take a character all the way through when they hit the end. There are a few people who are like, let's just take the first 5 cues one more time, or the first 10 cues, just because we kind of settled in, and I don't want it to sound like we were figuring things out for the first 5 minutes.
Yeah. I do know some games where they've recorded a bulk of a character, and everyone's like, this is great, and then it gets to one producer who's like, that's not what I wanted, change it.
Recast.
And they have to go and they recast, or in some cases, almost recast and give the actor a second shot. There's a big video game that's coming out soon that I can't talk about, but the character was going, the main character was going a very certain direction that they told him to go.
They did.
And he recorded it for an extended period of time.
Very long period.
And then, wasn't you? No, it wasn't. And then they told him, the producers don't like what you did, so we're probably going to recast. And he was like, what? Let me at least try to do what you want. And they were like, okay, I guess. And they gave him the new notes, and he did a great job, and they ended up just changing the character and re-recording everything with him in that way. So it does happen, and it's just part of the industry you got to be prepared for.
Oh, yeah.
That's the question.
Let's see. Any hands go up? Otherwise, we'll just talk randomly.
Yes. So you guys sometimes get called back to do additional recording, like if there's a new update to an online game or something.
Sure.
I'm just curious to hear a little bit more about that process. Like, for example, you recently obviously had to go back in to do more McCree for the Halloween update that just came out last week. So what's that kind of process like?
Well, it's a perpetually living game like that is great because it means future paychecks. Yeah. So it's cool. What they'll do is they'll usually you'll get a hello, good morning. You'll get an email or a call to your agency requesting you to return to do another session for it, and they'll pay you again. You go in there and they'll give you a new script and they'll give you the context of the new dialogue that you're recording. A lot of times, if they do the initial recording of a game and they're not quite sure how it's going to do, they'll get a bulk of standard lines, and then if it does well, or they start getting more creative ideas, then they'll find ways to expand on the character personalities and the interactions, which is kind of what's going on with Overwatch now, where they're having us come in and do more inter-character dialogue and more contextual bits of dialogue, which is a lot of fun. So the process isn't terribly different, more than it's just an opportunity to explore the character even further. And in the context of the new Halloween update, sometimes have some ridiculously cheesy lines like, "It's high moon." Yeah, no,
Every day.
I know. Sorry, I know. I'm just gonna make an alarm clock for you that just says that.
It's just that over and over.
Yeah, you'll love it.
It's 4:01. It's 3:42. It's nearly tea time. It's 11 days.
We can do this in that scene. It's gonna be great.
I'm just waiting for it's no pants o'clock, and then I'll feel like you're
It's no pants o'clock. You do this, Taliesin.
That used to be a holiday we celebrated, and I miss it. I feel like we've lapsed.
You can bring it back. Hashtag bring no pants o'clock
No
back.
pants o'clock. We're back.
We're doing this, guys.
Back like a Guitar Hero. It's like, oh no, it's no pants o'clock. I miss Sean's house, man.
That felt like the new ranch right
That was
there.
a dude ranch. I miss that. We are having a private conversation. But yeah, no, I'm like coming back for stuff like that, like any online, especially online games, and they'll play you 5 or 6 lines of what you did. They'll usually be the same director. God, we've been doing World of Warcraft for so long.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we both booked it. You booked it right before me, and then it was round 2 after you. Like we both.
That's right. Yeah, it was early Wrath of the Lich King. I think.
Yeah. We both kind of came in there. Oh man, they played me some Mograine like a few months ago.
When you first started.
That used to be the bottom of my, and I heard it, I'm like, oh man, that's gonna hurt so much. I gotta go so high up now to hit that. Oh God, ow.
That's the other fun thing too, is as a voice actor, especially when you work in video games, which tend to be a little more blunt force trauma to your voice over time. Your register will slowly go lower and lower. And looking back at how we sound in our mid-20s versus how we sound in
I was doing this all the time, and now I'm booking Batman voices. This is for the first year in a 15-year career. I've booked 3 voices
That were entirely in here. Everything. And this has never happened before.
Wow, that is apparently a big.
Yeah. Conversely, there's a high register that we don't have anymore.
All gone.
It is gone. Ooh. Thank you, Call of Duty.
Yeah, I was Grand Theft Auto kind of ended me. I was out of my high range.
That'll do it.
Keep me on fire for 43 seconds.
Yeah. I think Shadow Mordor was the final nail in my coffin for my high register.
Thankfully I was over at Being Elves and then other Skyrim.
Yeah.
No.
Next question. You start in the back of the hat.
Alright, when you guys voice a character, a playable character, do you actually name that character like McCree or something like that?
No, those are all very well constructed, chosen by committee through an extensive process of producer to producer decision making to come up with that character's look, personality, and everything. We're usually the final step
We
in
are
the
the
process.
last thing that gets done.
Actually, I meant do you act on your spare time when you're actually playing those games?
Spare time?
How do we play them?
I only play Overwatch. It's literally the only game I play now. They just gave me a free copy of World of Warcraft. I'm like, I don't know when that's even going to get unwrapped out of the plastic.
It was easier when I was starting out in the career because I had more free time and didn't have a lot of work, and we all grew up kind of hardcore gamers in our own right, but suddenly you have responsibilities like bills and a mortgage and having to go and tell the court that no, I don't own a business, don't tax me, and all this other adult stuff.
There's so much adulting right now. It's kind of a horrifying amount of adulting.
Yeah. But Overwatch definitely play a
Overwatch.
bunch. Witcher 3, I've torn through completely. Fallout 4.
In my head, every NPC is just Ed Gruberman. Since I was 15 years old, I just assumed that their name is Ed Gruberman. Which, wow, that not even no one knows what I'm talking about.
That's okay.
That is so.
Okay, no, Taliesin.
You just sucked 1 year of my life away. Thank you. Ed Gruberman, look up Buddha, boot to the head. Taekwondo.
Yes. Next question. Let's. You're holding up your horns. I have to say hello.
1.5.
How awesome was it to do a voice for Final 15? It was awesome. Yeah. The Final Fantasy 15, a game that has been coming out forever. It's the Diablo 2 release for Square Enix. We promise it's going to come out eventually.
Spiritual sequel to Last Guardian.
No, exactly. No, I was super excited. I was excited for the game long before I even read for it. I remember when the auditions went out for it, I was like, oh, this is actually happening. This is the thing. It's going to come out then, I guess. And so then I read for it and then heard nothing for a year. I mean, I guess it's a thing that's going to happen without me. And then a year later, they were, okay, yeah, you booked this character. And they told me I booked Core, and I was like, whoa, that came out of left field. Yeah, sometimes, depending on video game production cycles, you may audition for something and not hear about it for a year, year and a half.
Yeah, totally doable.
Usually I'd say it's an average about a month to 2 weeks.
I get a month to 6 is mine. Like a month to 6. I've had very few 2 week. If it's a 2 week I didn't read for it, they just called me in.
Right.
Like, here, we want you to do this. I'm like, all right, yay, this is even better. But usually it's like a month to 6 months. Every now and then there's like I had it 1 year and a half, which was nuts. But.
Yeah, Core is pretty up there with like delay between audition and booking it.
Icing on the cake. We're competing in that game. I was so excited when I saw the YouTube video. I'm like, oh my god!
That's exactly my reaction when I saw the video. I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna play this game! I'm not joking.
No, he's really not.
No, I mean I grew up with Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy was such a big part of my life and still is, and so to be a part of it at all is exciting. Let alone one of the Roman numerals.
I was going to say you worked on a couple of like the weird little ones though. I recall like you did a.
I was excited to be Sid in Chocobo Dungeon.
Chocobo Dungeon, that was right.
I was like, it's Final Fantasy adjacent.
Oh no, he was like giggling.
And something. There's Chocobos in it. I'm happy. So being able to do this was just another little like nerd notch on my nerd belt. That's a phrase I just said.
It's a very big belt.
It's a big nerd belt. Thank you. Next question, please. Oh, you choose that.
I'm kind of feeling like just a little circle here. So I like the violet hair, and then I think the dude in the gray, and we'll start wrapping around this way. So
we'll do it.
You with the lovely purple hair.
My question is like, I know that like sometimes they'll like re-release a game or something, and they'll like add new dialogue.
Yeah.
The voice actor might not be able to make it, so we have Kanji Tatsumi Persona 4. They did the same thing with Risa Games. So like, do you feel some kind of like, okay, I have to try to match this voice, or do you bring your own flavor, or do you feel the pressure to try to live up to what the previous game?
That is entirely up to the producers of the game. Sometimes they want to. Sometimes there was a question about when you're taking over a role from a previous actor who is either unavailable or for whatever reason was not appearing in either an updated game of a game or a sequel or otherwise, of whether or not you're. The producers sometimes want to try and like smooth that to pretend nothing has happened, which is. But half the time they're not. They're sometimes interested in just taking everything in a slightly different direction, and they're going to tell you which direction you're going.
Yeah. From my standpoint, you want to try and make it a smooth transition for the listener, especially if it's a character that's relatively popular, like Kanji Tatsumi. You want to make sure that there's a very, very minimal transition noticeable. So yeah, you study it, you listen to it, you do your best to match what's available, but it's also you as an actor trying to bring your own essence to that character. So you'll kind of merge the two parts of your question. You'll try and carry as much of that initial performance over, but still also make it your own, so it's not just a copy of someone else's performance. You use that as a jumping point and an inspiration, and then kind of begin to make it your own as you continue forward.
I've like had two big characters that I've taken over from someone else at this point, which was the Final Fantasy Online. Was one of the big ones where I was the second actor to my brain is just entirely turned into mush. Where on the first reboot of Final Fantasy, they recast the whole game from scratch, which was kind of this very bizarre reality. And we kind of we tried to keep in with what they were doing, just push it in a slightly lighter direction, and then now now they've actually recast the entire game again for a third time, which is kind of nuts. So like, there's actually now, like, once you reach a certain point, I think the entire game's voiceover changes at a certain level, which is kind of what I did, but like, yeah, it's nuts. Yeah, I don't know. But and I still actually haven't heard the new guy who's doing this character now, but I'm actually definitely curious to see where they went with it.
So someone is now doing their impression of a character that you did, who's an impression of someone else's character.
And then Britain for Hitalia, which is not a video game, but for an anime, which I'm taking over Britain for the previous actor, and that's. I'll be on. They specifically brought me in and were like, just go nuts. And I was like, okay. And like they literally were like, we don't want to match anything, just go nuts. It'll be fine. And that was kind of horrifying, but it's different every time.
Good question. And you sound the gray. You are next up.
Very short Critical Role question.
Oh yeah, right.
If somebody wanted to go watch Critical Role, should they go watch all 60 hours of it on YouTube and then start tuning in, or should they just start tuning in on Thursdays and catch up after Fridays?
It's up to you.
What kind of? Well, that depends on how much free time does this theoretical person have.
A bit.
Are they a fireman? Are they are they sitting around waiting for fires, or are they are they a bus driver? Do they actually have to keep their eyes somewhere?
I'd say like after a 9 to 5, kind of like a couple hours,
If you got a couple hours a day that you want entertainment for, then start from the beginning.
Yeah, and just like you'll get there eventually, and unless you're really feeling a visceral sadness from missing the live show. The live show definitely has a vitality to it, but also then you're on a schedule, and I know that you have to avoid the internet, which is kind of annoying, but like.
There's also, I know there've been discussions in the Reddit community about what arcs, aren't as impactful to the overall story that you can skip if you feel so. I like all that went on there because I put effort into building it all, but at the same time is a commodity. So if you're wanting to catch up, there are definite arcs that are a little more important to see to get to the modern episodes to know what's going on and the depth behind it. So you could ask there. People have a lot of cool recommendations of what order to go in.
But it is, do you start watching Game of Thrones now, or do you go back and watch the previous seasons? I mean, you'll definitely get something out of it watching it now, and there's the visceral movement of the story along with the audience. But you're definitely going to be doing a lot of who's that, what's that, why is that important? There's just no way to avoid it, sadly. We're working on it. We're aware of this problem, and this is something we're trying to correct. Coming up with some interesting way of people who just want to get to the backstory later on their own time, how they can kind of. We are aware and we're thinking about this.
Yeah, we have plans.
There are plans.
So you mentioned, I believe yesterday, that when doing video games as opposed to voicing for a cartoon or such, that you often end up kind of acting in isolation. You don't really have other cast members to bounce things off of, and sometimes the director is not even sure what exactly they're going for. Do you have any, notable exceptions to that?
Yeah. There are a few games that do group records. Actually, an RPG that just came out called Masquerada that I'm in. It was an indie RPG, kind of isometric Baldur's Gate type view. It's on Steam now, and it's supposed to be on PS4, I think, beginning of the new year. Brilliant story. It's beautiful. All the art is 2D hand-drawn. None of it's 3D rendered. And it's incredible writing, but that game, the entire game was group recorded. We had 3 or 4 actors in the booth at all times recording the characters together for all the dialogue, and it really makes a difference.
An interesting thing I found about indie games is that a lot of the bad habits of the bigger publishers are just that, they're bad habits.
Yeah.
And the indie studios don't have them, so often the indie games often just don't know that they're doing it right. It didn't occur to them to just do it wrong because that's the way it's always been done, which is really nice. Where it's that conversation that you've had with certain producers, if we just do these 5 things, everything will go so much faster, it'll sound so much better, and it'll come in easily 15-20% on the budget. Next time we're totally doing that, and they've been saying that since 1998. Whereas they just kind of walk in and this makes sense. Yes, it does. Blizzard's really good Blizzard was interesting because they started like everybody else, and over the last decade have really like refined the process.
Yeah.
It's not perfect, but they're really, for such a big game, it's really well oiled, and there's almost always an image. Like, you would not believe how delighted we are when we see a picture of the character that we're voicing. Like, a picture is really helpful, and it's still a little rare. It's not super rare anymore, but like it's only like 40% now.
Yeah.
40%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of the Telltale stuff is group record as well now. So yeah, it's becoming more and more of a process for narrative-based gaming, because the quality shows. And the good voice actors are the ones that can prove that they can still sound believable and in the moment while working in isolation.
In a vacuum with no picture and no context.
Yeah.
Which happens.
Yeah, a lot. And that's the skill set of the good voice actors. You get those same people in the room together, and the quality level just jumps even more astronomically. So I'm hoping that more games can budget for that type of an experience, because it does lend itself to a better overall product. It's still uncommon, because budgetary constraints are what they are, and because people just kind of keep working with the old structure, because that's what they know.
Yeah, it's tough to get people to change. It's really, really tough to get a machine like that to change anything that they do, even if like you're trying to convince them that the other way is better, faster, and cheaper. It's still, but if there's an implementation, and that's a mess. And there's some truth to that. Whereas like the younger, more flexible companies, they have to do the implementation anyway, so they're actually far more interested in ways of improving the system before they've even started. So yeah, I mean, like, which is why I will say, like, Street Fighter recording was a mess. Whereas like another game, I got to watch another game get recorded almost at the same time, which was Skullgirls, which was sleek and efficient and getting things done on a budget. And I was like sitting in that booth going, I'm not recording for it, but watching some of it get done. I mean, like, you guys have a candy store in here. This is just depressing. This is amazing. They give you everything. Like, they're giving you so much. And I mean, like, and every project has difficulties. I'm sure Christina's going, it was hard. But yeah, it was so fascinating at the time to be watching someone record a very similar product and have a completely different structure to it. And just, I was a little envious. I was a little envious of Skullgirls, I'll say. A little bit.
Next question. Yusa.
Circling back to the nerd belt, what were your first notches?
That was amazing.
Good phrasing.
Talk about your notches.
First nerd belt notches for me, very beginning, was doing background walla on the Fist of the North Star anime series, as well as background voices in Trigun and Cowboy Bebop. Those are my first real gigs I ever had. It was background walla, completely inconsequential stuff, but at the time, being a huge nerd of anime, I was just like, this is the best ever!
I wouldn't even know where to, I don't know where to start that, because I have such a weird reality.
Yeah, you do.
I was a big anime nerd, way before it was appropriate on any level. Back in the early 90s. I was at Anime Cons in 1992. I'm old. But I suppose my best coup, I was a child actor, so I was actually on screen a lot. And one of my gigs from way back when was a movie called 2010, which was the sequel, I suppose, to 2001, in the sense that it was another movie about a ship and a space baby with a spaceship. They're great. They're both great movies for different reasons. But one of the things that they did for that movie was they were like, okay, we have to decorate your room. And so, you want to decorate your room as a kid? They gave me catalogs of stuff of what do you want, what toys do you want in your room for the kid from 2040 or whatever year that. Oh, it was 2010. I guess. Wow, we're past it now. And talking to the prop guys, I'm like, I'm really into anime, and they're like, oh, and then they bust out this intense catalog. I'm like, we were hoping to hear something like that. How many thousands of dollars of Japanese robots do you want us to order? We're excited. And we were like, highlight. and they just like blew a huge chunk of budget, and they're like, okay, we want these 5, you can pick anything from this round when the show's over. I'm like, oh my god! And like, literally with like the prop guys divvied up the Japanese robots that we all ordered out of the catalog, and like purely for personal use. They show up in like 10 seconds of footage, and we're like, mine!
To show how strange this childhood reality was at this point, I'm pretty sure there was the same movie that had to pay you to learn to play with dolphins for a while.
I went to Marineland every day for like over a month. And I had to leave school. Not even school. I had to leave my tutor to go to Marineland and
get paid to play with dolphins
every day. It was the worst.
You're a terrible person. You're a terrible person, Taliesin.
Yeah, no, I got to swim with them in like one of the fake tanks at the what is now like Sony Pictures, like the big. That was great. They built a fake house over. It was so surreal. It was weird. It was great.
What the hell?
Life is beautiful.
So dumb. So dumb. I'll never get over that.
Oh, it's the best.
Next question.
Next question.
Let's see. We'll get to you, and we'll make our way back.
Cool. This question is from Matt, and I was wondering, when you recorded for Fire Emblem Fates and you recorded for the character Shigure, there's a wave of DLC where you're singing the main theme of the game.
Yeah.
And it turned out really good, and I was just wondering if you had much experience singing for other like games or anime before.
Okay.
Sound singer.
The question was for Fire Emblem Fates, for the character Shigure, I had to sing a lot for the DLC, and if I had much experience in other games. Not a lot of games have you sing often, so that was one of the first ones that I had to do a large amount of singing for, which was cool. I have a background in musical theater. I love singing. My father was a musician. I grew up just liking singing in general, so it's something I do a lot when I'm by myself, or driving in the car, in the shower, kind of one of those things. I love karaoke because it's just unabashed ridiculousness.
God, I miss karaoke. I gotta go back. It's been so long.
But yeah, so that was one of the first times I had the opportunity to sing for an actual game project on that level. I didn't know that when I auditioned for the character, and it wasn't until later on they contacted me. It was like, hey Matt, by the way, can you sing? It's like, I think so, kinda. Can you send a sample? Okay. And so I just sang a couple songs real fast and recorded. They're like, oh, that works fine. And then we spent a whole session doing all the different dialogue for both the background for the battle sequence and for the actual full song for the ending portion. And it was a lot of fun, and I hope it turned out okay. People seemed to like it okay, and it was a little higher than my normal register would be. It was pushing more in my tenor range. I tend to go tenor to bass, but yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I hope people liked it.
Yeah, awesome, thank you.
Thank you. Right, then next up, you in the sweater, and then we'll get into you with the hoodie.
Right. So the question is, what was your most despised work as a voice actor?
The we despised or the community despised?
You despised.
Okay. Because those are both very different answers.
I don't despise any of it. Is the weird. That's like the interesting thing. I mean, like it is almost impossible to not like. I've had like weird times in the booth, but even afterward, I come out. I'm like, well, at least the work was good. And so I can kind of like eventually the memory of terrible people fade, and I'm like, well, the character sounds great. I'm trying to think about it. Like, there's nothing I'm particularly not proud of. I'm just happy enough with.
I have a couple.
I'm trying to think of like anything. I'm like, there's nothing I would I don't know. Despise is a
Despise is an intense word.
It's Dickensian.
Yeah, I would say I'm least proud of a couple things. There was one project I recorded on the PS2, one of my first projects, that was directed by the producer, who had no experience directing beforehand. Nice guy. It was called Prism, Chapter 1, The Dark Unicorn. In that game, I played the Dark Unicorn, Zartu, as well as pretty much all of the male gnomes and elves, which sounded fun being a nerd. But then you get in there, and the dialogue and the direction was atrocious. It was one of those like, greetings upon you, Prism, for today you have come of age. That was the leader unicorn. And in the dark unicorn, I will show you your darkness. I am free! It's like, it was all around, not the best experience, but I was just starting out. It was a paycheck. Not necessarily extremely proud of that project, and every now and then it creeps back up in my life, and I'm like, oh, how far we've come.
Yeah, in the end, you take the money and you have no intention of giving it back, which is like, this is mine now, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, call again.
Every now and then you do that project with a director that doesn't trust your instincts as an actor, and they're like, okay, I like what you're doing, but I want this to be a little more bad high school theater. Well, they don't tell you that, but you know that's where you're bringing it back.
Like 7th grade West Side Story? Or are we going Oh, 6th grade Women of Juarez. I'm definitely down for that one. Let's go.
5th grade Pillow Man.
Oh, thank you. It's either that or Equus. We go
somewhere. 5th grade Equus didn't go so well.
Yeah, no.
Oh, God.
Try to sell a full page in the program for that one.
Anyway.
Tell I'm an actor. I played the front of the horse. I did very well. Sorry. Wow, there's like really obscure theater nerd jokes happening up here. Moving right along. No questions.
So my question was actually about your interactions with directors. Have you ever had just interesting or funny moments where you're just working with the director back and forth on a particular moment or particular line?
I've had apologized to me many times when things.
No, don't tell me. Yeah, please
I'm not going to tell the story, but there have been things where I'll look at the script, look at the playback, and look over at Taliesin, and he goes, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
I have to hurt someone, and it's going to be you today because I can't hurt a stranger. I can only hurt.
Yeah, and you know what?
Thank you for that. No, that was so awful. I'm so sorry.
Patrick Seitz directing me in Fire Emblem as Crom and making me make eye contact with him as I recorded Crom's confession was fun. I'm very Patrick Seitz, yeah.
Very Patrick Seitz.
He's like, no man, you know the lines. Look at me. Right here. Thanks, Patrick.
There are directors who are just a joy to work with.
Yeah.
There are directors who are fine. There's a few that we grimace and take it, and then there's a few that are just a joy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's there's too many weird little, it's all little moments, it's never big long moments. But yeah, that's almost too broad of a question to answer probably.
We'll have a whole different panel on it, yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel stunned by it.
We're wrapping up if there's other,
we got time for